Good evening, the time being 7 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Before we get started, I'd like to thank everybody who came to my meeting 2 weeks ago.
Ha ha, Mr. Smith, ha ha.
It was a banger.
We broke a new record, 12 minutes, not counting the 30 minutes of autograph time that I had.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'm here.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Here.
Councilmember Patassi.
Here.
Councilmember Kettering.
Here.
And Mayor Barrios.
Here, please note all 5 of us are present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation provided by Ryan Poling with the River Christian Community Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you pray with me? God of heaven, thank you so much for this evening. Thank you for this group of council members that are here before me. Lord, I pray that they would be filled with wisdom, filled with understanding. Lord, I pray that you would unite them and solidify them, Lord, as a group of decision makers. Thank you for our city manager, and I pray for him, for his team. Lord, I pray for protection over them and wisdom as well. Thank you for our public servants as well in the city, and I'm thankful and grateful for them. Lord, would you look after them? And then, Lord, as I consider even this past Memorial Day, I pray for those who have lost loved ones, who are continuing to grieve. Lord, I pray that you would just comfort them, be their source of strength, and in the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ryan. All right. Now's the time for public comment. Anyone wishing to provide public comment, please come up to the mic. Feels like we haven't been here for a while, huh? It's been a while. I mean, I know you mentioned that. Yeah, it's been a few weeks, huh?
You haven't
Just kind of getting, yeah, I know, yeah.
Everybody else
That's
is
right, I was in Arkansas. Anyway, anyone wishing to provide public comment, please come up to the mic. State your name, and this is for public comment only, and you will have 3 minutes.
Somebody just walked in.
Seeing none, public comment is now closed. City Council consent agenda. Would any council member like to pull an item or discuss? If not, I need a motion.
I would like to point out that 9.5 on the consent agenda is that 25-page parking ordinance, so if you didn't get a chance to read it a month ago, this is the second reading of it tonight, and there are a bunch of changes in there.
And it's posted all over social media, and nobody's here for the parking meeting tonight. So,
So I will
having said that,
motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second that motion.
first and a second, roll call, please. Colleen?
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Yes.
Councilmember Patassi.
Yes.
Councilmember Kettering.
Yes.
And Mayor Barrios.
Yes, this item passes 5-0. Thank you, Colleen. All right, item,
10.
hold on, 10. I do have my new glasses on. Item 10.1, public hearing. The next item on tonight's agenda is a public hearing to consider amending Section 2, Chapter 2, Administration to change the start time city council meetings. We'll first have a presentation by staff. After that, we'll open the public hearing to receive public comment. Jerry?
Good evening, members of the City Council. The item before you is a consideration to amend the Oakdale Municipal Code, Section 2-2, City Council meeting time, and update the meeting location. The Oakdale Municipal Code currently sets City Council meetings for 7 p.m., and it's actually listed in the ordinance that it's held at 260 North 3rd Avenue, so it's incorrect, so we need
That's
to
where
amend.
everybody is right now.
That's where we were for years.
Oh, yeah, on the 19th. Good one, good one.
That's why it lasted so long. We had to give a tour.
Ha-ha, Mr. Smith.
So staff was asked to bring this subject to City Council for discussion, which was done April 21st, 2025. Staff and public have expressed interest in an earlier meeting time, and then our current practice meetings are held at 277 North 2nd Avenue, which is right here. So we needed to clean up the ordinance regardless of what we do. So option one is to change the start time to 6. We discussed 5:30. It seemed like there wasn't much interest in the 5:30 time, so I put two options, 6 p.m. and 6:30, or three options, and keep the 7 p.m. time, but correct the meeting location to 277 North Second Avenue. So tonight would be the first reading. The second reading would be June 16th, and then the ordinance would take effect 30 days after adoption, regardless of which option we take. And so staff recommends the City Council approve the draft ordinance changing the time of regular City Council meetings to 6 p.m. and updating the meeting location to 277 North Second Avenue. And with that, I'll take questions.
All right, the public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak, please state your first and last name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to provide your public comment. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the City Council for discussion. All right, who'd like to start this discussion?
I'll start it since nobody else seems to want to. I've actually talked to a lot of people. I couldn't tell you a number, 50, 75 probably over the last month since I knew this was coming. There's no consensus. I've had a variety of people that have said it doesn't matter because I'm never going to go to a city council meeting. The most common that I got was, if I do want to go, I can't be there till after 6 p.m. because of work. My recommendation, after hearing everybody else, is I wouldn't feel comfortable going much earlier than 6:30 because of other responsibilities from the people. 2 business owners that I talked to just day before yesterday, and I asked them this question. They said 7 o'clock would be perfect, but if it benefits city staff, to make it a half hour earlier at 6:30, and that seems to be, over the many people that I've talked to, seem to be about the consensus is making it a little bit earlier, but not too much earlier.
Okay, anyone else?
That is also what I heard, that if we moved it too early, people would not be able to make it from work. And then also I heard the same thing as Jeff is, oh, we have city council meetings. What time are they right now? So everyone has a whole bunch of different answers.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else?
I'm just going to say I've got no opinion because I don't have responsibilities at home that I have to work my schedule around. However, and this is the only concern, is that sometimes we pack this room with school-aged kids, and all of those school-aged kids have to wait for their parents to get home at 5 o'clock, have a quick dinner, get dressed up, come to the, if we move it till 6 o'clock, that's a tight window to fill up this room with school kids, or kids in general, if they are under the responsibility of their parents. That's my comment about that. I'll show up, whatever. I'm going to use Jeff's comment that I don't even know what time the meetings are, so I'm not going to show up to them anymore. Does that work with you? I can do that? No, yeah, I have no, I'm going to show up whatever time it is, but if we're going to change this for the city staff, which I have sympathies for, and not for the hundreds of little, participants that come here, that gives the family enough time to get the dinner, get them out of their school clothes, get them into their evening clothes, whatever, and bring them here. So that's my only comments on that.
Anything else?
The only thing, I'm not going to echo everything, but you guys said, when we have special meetings where we come in an hour early, if that pushes it into, work times, that's the only thing I thought of, aside from everything else that's been said. So we'll have to.
We could consider moving the special meeting till after the earlier meeting.
Can. So,
Yeah, my preference is 6 p.m., but there's got to be a motion on the table. So,
I motion to approve the start time of 6:30 p.m. Sorry, Mayor.
I'll second that.
we have a first and a second roll call, please.
Councilmember Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilmember Kettering,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith,
Sure.
Councilmember Patassi,
yes.
and Mayor Barrios.
Yes, thank you. Passes 5-0.
This is the first of 2 readings, right?
Yes.
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 So the second reading is just going to be confirmed 6:30? It's no
Yes.
longer up to discussion?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Not for now.
All right, item 10.2, introduction of an ordinance. The next item is 10.2, a public hearing to consider amending Section 2, Chapter 12, Fire Protection related to fire hazard severity zones. We'll first have a presentation by staff, and then I'll open it up for public comment. Jerry? Or,
Good evening,
excuse me,
Mayor
Tom,
and Council.
apologize.
Another short item for you, a new state requirement requiring us to approve a fire hazard map. So new Government Code Section 51178 directs the state fire marshal to identify areas in the state as moderate, high, and very high fire hazard severity zones based on the statewide criteria, which includes fuel loading, slope, fire weather, and other factors. Government Code Section 51179 directs local agencies to designate, pardon me, I'm going to switch here, by ordinance, moderate, high, and very high fire hazard severity zones in its jurisdiction within 120 days of receiving recommendations from the state fire marshal, which was back in February. So it's a very simple item, and you have three options. You can adopt the ordinance as presented. You can continue it to another meeting with any changes or revisions you might have, or you can reject it. It also has no environmental or financial impact to the city.
So does this mean it's going to change our insurance rates even more?
I'll defer to you and Councilmember Gilbert on that one.
Can you please? Thank you, Chief. They're already killing us with rates, man.
I know.
Yeah.
So this started about 7 years ago with the state. About time we had a real significant wildland fire event, and as you know, this year it's already started in January. So they started rolling these out. The maps cannot be changed or adjusted until they do their next ones, which is about 7 years from now. One of the things that it will do is in the building code adoption, those residents that are in the high severity zones, in the very high, they're gonna, for new construction, change the code enforcement of the types of reinforcement to prevent wildfire impactment, so we don't have another Palisades. So does it affect the insurance rate? Possibly. We're not really sure at this point. So
It will change the building construction rate, for sure.
for sure,
Kinda
building
like-
codes, yeah.
So that was like 2014
Yeah.
when they required the contractors to now put in sprinklers. I remember Rich Murdoch was around, and
Yeah.
there was something going on. It cost like
And then, like,
$30,000 more to put the sprinklers inside the home.
You know, spark arresters in your venting of the building.
Yeah.
And so that's what these maps are designed for. Moving forward, you know, our state's prone to wildfire, and it can affect anywhere in the state, as we've seen, you know, time and time again. So the maps are pretty accurate. For the city's portion, it's really the airport. And nothing else is really in their sphere of influence. So that's kind of, unless you guys are planning on developing the airport.
Well, that's on the plan. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's exact area.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, so.
I don't know if it's going to be 7 years or 5
What about the
years.
300 acre annexation?
That's what I'm,
Now, as you look at the map there, it's not
it's
included
not,
in
so it
that.
wouldn't be near that?
No,
Okay, because
So-
you said this would take up to 7 years?
before they readjust the maps again. So it's a constant thing. They're rolling these out and then they'll start the next,
Yeah.
you know,
What have
phase
the
of it.
other cities done?
City of Riverbank adopted the ordinance. They had one little area around the high school. We're not sure how it got put on there, but that's it. All of the districts are going to be adopted at the county level by the Board of Supervisors. The City of Waterford adopted it and very minimal. Actually, it was, some of it was in their sphere of influence, but they're about 10 years away before they develop that area,
yeah.
so.
So this will change the ISO rating in that area?
No, does not affect
Doesn't
ISO, but it
affect ISO.
could affect the insurance rates depending on,
Sure.
on that area. so.
They're already affected right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is more protection for them?
Yeah.
Even though they're going to pay more money, it is more protection for them?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
so-
And if you're building a new house, it's gonna
Right.
change the building codes where you have a reinforced house from wildfire
Right.
So
mitigation.
that's what was just popped into my head. So say
Yeah.
development starts end of the year
Yeah.
before this is implemented or whatever, and then it comes in, those houses that are built, they're out of code New
Usually,
houses.
once you pull permits, you have a time of about a year from time of that code. And then if you're not done with your final, then you would have to go back for a code update on your plans. So, yeah. Anything else? Any other questions?
Any other questions?
City Manager Ramar, can you use your mouse and just point out where Stearns Road is on the right edge of that?
This is Stearns Road that runs right along here, and this is actually Kerr Park, so we do have more than just the airport in the district. In the hazard zone, we have all of Kerr Park.
So new builds in 7 years from now is what we're talking.
Yeah,
New builds.
they'll re-update the maps in 7 years.
Yeah.
It's a 7-year rotation.
Yeah, so will not affect anybody at this time, but in 7 years. it will.
Yeah, and one thing to remember, we're doing some field mitigation work in that Kerr Park currently, so that should help with that.
Is I can't tell from that map, but is the gun range touching that?
Yes, the gun range is right next to Kerr Park.
So if we're talking about fire stuff and firearms, is that gonna put any stress on the
yeah, we've
gun
never,
range?
This is for new builds only, correct?
New builds,
New
yeah,
builds only.
new construction,
Yeah.
essentially what it's for.
Okay, only new builds?
Yeah.
New builds.
Yeah, or if you're doing an extensive remodel where you get that's fire sprinklers or something, and you'll
Yeah.
probably have to do those type of code updates.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
7 years, new builds only,
Yeah.
unless you're adding square
Yeah.
footage. All right, thank you, Chief.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
being here.
Thanks, Chief.
Anyone from the audience have a comment on this item? All right, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public hearing. Council want to have a discussion on this? If not, I need a motion.
I motion to approve item 10.2.
I'll second that motion.
What's your suggestion, Jerry?
approve it. It's mandated by the state, so we can't get away from it.
Mandated by the state.
Councilmember Gilbert,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Patassi,
Yes.
Councilmember Kettering,
Yes.
and Mayor Barrios.
Yes, this item passes 5-0. Thank you, guys. All right, 11.1. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
How are you? I'm good.
Good, great.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight I'm here to discuss the Kerr Park Lighting Project. Thank you. Kerr Park is Oakdale's largest park at 14 acres along the Stanislaus River with picnic tables, a playground, and 3 baseball fields that are used almost year-round. The community has long sought to replace the lights at Field 1 to allow for additional usage of the fields. This is kind of a close-up of Field 1. We have existing light poles on that field where we used to have functioning lights in that area. The top picture is kind of out so you can see which one it is, where the poles are, and where it's located next to the parking lot. That's the field that we're talking about tonight. This project includes reuse of the existing light poles, the ballast boxes and conduits, and then removal and replacement of 22 floodlight fixtures, installation of additional ballasts, and they will be providing lockable control on and off switch with a box and all of the disposal costs of the old light fixtures. We did an informal bid for this work, and the following were the bid results. As you can see, it was not very fruitful. Modesto Executive Electric came in with their bid at $142,200. Vintage Contractors was unable to bid due to their current schedule for the year, and National LED was not interested in this project. Modesto Executive Electric is the apparent low bidder. This is a budgeted project and will be funded by the Parks Replacement Fund 549. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Modesto Executive Electric for the installation of lights at one baseball field at Kerr Park in the amount of $142,200 and authorize a 10% project contingency in the amount of $14,200 for a total project budget of $156,200 to be funded by the Parks Replacement Fund 549. This is Capital Project 2414. Questions?
So Field 1, Kerr Park.
Yes,
This is a long time coming.
very long.
A couple things. OBSA has the rights to that field during certain times of the year, correct? Like Oakdale Soccer Club at Teal Davis, because they provide the most service for the community, correct? So that'll still remain. This doesn't change any contracts that the city has with the baseball club.
Does not.
Do we have anything going in at TL Davis as far as lights? Or not yet, not at this time?
No, not at this time. And the reason this one's coming before council is because there used to be functioning lights out there, and I believe back when the value of copper was high,
Yeah,
all the copper was
ripped them off.
stolen from it. So
Yeah.
it's just an easy project to get
Yeah.
the field refurbished.
Yeah, so TL Davis, nothing yet, and then at the new park, no lights are gonna go there, that's still the same effect, correct, for soccer?
On the soccer fields, there will be no lights, but there
No
are
lights.
lights at the pickleball court.
Okay, cool. Okay, this is
How
awesome,
are
thank
we
you. Any other
going to
questions?
stop? How are we, what are we gonna do to change from theft?
Everything we possibly can, except for theft, is very difficult to deter. When the value of copper goes up, copper thefts go up. So we've mitigated as much as we possibly can. We've installed internet down there, so now we have lights and we can monitor it 24/7
Great,
with cameras. Yes, I'm sorry. That's what I meant by saying we installed internet down there. So we actually have camera feeds back to our real-time crime center where dispatch can monitor it 24/7 if we feel like that's going to be a vulnerable location.
very nice.
And then,
Although-
Karina,
Ma'am.
it says informal bid. Does that mean, what does that mean?
An informal bid just doesn't require us to do the full 4 to 6 week bid. It's anything under $200,000, but higher than $60,000. So we put together a formal scope of work, and we send it out to any interested vendors. We still post it on our website, but the length of time that that's available for people to bid on is only 10 days.
Okay, thank
So
you.
it makes it a little easier for us to get quotes and make sure people have to stick to a
This is
scope of
great,
work.
this is awesome, thank you. Anyone else? Please have a
Will
question?
this, will we start having more city maintenance out there taking care of the fields too and all that kind of stuff, or is that gonna be all on OBSA? For,
I don't think this changes anything about our agreements with CARE as it relates to OBA.
This is just for the lights only?
Yes.
but the fact that there's gonna be brand-new lights out there, the presence of more maintenance and regular upkeep will kind of,
We're gonna have to monitor that as we move along, you know, with the lights. The lights certainly are gonna be a maintenance item that we're gonna have to take care of, and we are preparing for that, but,
yeah.
with.
Jeff, I
with-
didn't hear that last sentence. The lights are gonna be a what? Maintenance night? What'd you say about the maintenance of the lights?
Oh, the maintenance of the lights are gonna be an item that we're gonna have to consider, you know, during the course and use of the lights. But if that does bring more traffic to the fields, yeah, that's something that we're just gonna have to adjust and figure out how to take care of. OBSA is helping out with that.
They do the maintenance of
currently.
the field and all that, not the
Yeah,
lights?
Right.
We're not
The
gonna.
lights are gonna be ours,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
They will be LED as well, so the life of them is going to be very, very long. So
Okay.
we hope that maintenance will be easier in that respect as well.
Good. Anyone else?
And I asked a couple questions of the city manager this the other day, and they were both answered to my satisfaction. The only thing is, just so everybody else is aware, this is the same company that put up the lights at the pickleball courts, correct?
Yes.
And I don't know if anybody else has been down there. Those lights were put in wonderfully. I don't know if that's the right word, but they're incredibly bright. The way that they turn on and off is seamless. So if it's the same company, then we can expect a positive job. And the only question I didn't ask before is, were they, when they installed the lights, was their final project cost within their initial budget? I didn't ask that before.
It was based on the scope of work that they originally bid on, yes.
Okay. Thank
They
you.
also did the remodel of the police department and came within budget there too.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any comments from the public? Yes, sir. Yes, sure.
Okay, I have a few questions.
Okay.
$20 each question for
Yes.
Karina.
You're gonna pay me $20 for each question I ask.
Yeah.
She's the 20, I'm 5, so it's actually
There you go.
25.
How much nighttime use currently is there at that park? Zero?
Yeah, well, I mean, the baseball fields are not lit, so I don't think that they schedule games past, they can't schedule them past
When's the
any
last time that
sunset.
the night lights worked?
A long time ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago?
Yeah, before my time.
My short
10
version of
is
the long
maybe.
question is this one of those, if you build it, they will come?
Yes.
Or are we
Oh,
spending-
100%. OBA's been asking for this, the community's been asking for this.
That's the answer.
Yeah, it's gonna be
There's,
huge.
there's OBSA, there's church league softball, there's beer league softball,
They all
there's
wanna play at night.
all wanna play
Everybody,
at night.
yeah.
Okay. As far as the old lights, in case anybody says, well, why don't we just fix the old lights? The old lights were metal halide, thank you. And those things are like from World War II. That's the
They take 30
technology.
minutes to warm up.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So we're definitely not reusing the old lights. I do have some questions about their bid.
Okay.
So if you can go down 2 more pages to this, to get to this bid. Their bid is actually $100,000.
Right.
They have a contingency addition of 12.5 to install enclosure at the outside fence for paneling controls. Got no problem with that as
Yes.
part of the project. But they also have 29,500 estimated cost to pull in wire from the poles if required.
Yes.
Have they decided that that is required, or?
They have not.
So this might be less than the 145 or
Yes.
142,000.
Yes.
Now, their bid total, adding all of their stuff up, and I'm not being a jerk here, is 142,000.
Yes.
This says 142,2. So there might be a typo there.
Yes.
Okay, so it's 142,000 with the
Yes.
contingency fee, blah, 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 blah.
There's a $200 fee for their bonds. That is not listed there.
That's the extra 200 that
Yes.
I was missing. There's a bullet point that says, if remote ballasts proposed, please provide cost advantages. I don't know what that means to us.
That was us. That's a response to our bid. When we asked them to provide the cost advantages if that's what they would like to install instead. We asked them to submit on those
This is their
items.
proposal to us. They're asking us to.
Yeah, they usually put back to you your scope of work in some way. So theirs are always a little bit weird because they kind of regurgitate what you ask them for, and then the top is where they're answering, kind of. So
Okay.
we asked them to give us some advantages to that. They spoke with our electrician and our team before we decided what kind to go with.
That's
Okay.
normal.
Yeah. So they're, all right. Any additional costs incurred due to unforeseen circumstances are gonna be added onto this. Have they already been out there and
Oh,
gauged
yes.
the entire project?
Yeah, this is actually the 6th time that we've bid this project.
Okay.
So they've been out there
So they know the
6
scope of the
times.
project, and they're not gonna
Yes.
go, oh, well, the pole's too high, we need a bigger cherry.
No.
Okay, all right. And then any and all landscape, sod, and irrigation system repairs or replacement is not their concern. So if they bring their cherry picker out there and tear up the field, we're paying for that.
Right. We have a plan for how we're gonna get equipment down there in and out without damaging anything, so, that's not our biggest concern, when it comes to what they're gonna tear up, but because we're not removing the poles, we don't feel like we'll do very much damage out there.
Okay. And the only other question, I don't expect you to know the answer because probably nobody does. Do you know if these are LED panels or LED replaceable individual fixtures?
Probably
I believe they're panels,
Okay.
but I will find out and let you know.
Please do.
I have it in my email, I'll find
The
out and let
the
you know.
only reason I'm asking that question is if there's an array of 36 lights up there and one goes bad, nobody's gonna know. But if one panel goes bad, then we lose the entire
We
tower.
lose the whole light. Okay, yeah, I will look in there and find out for you.
I'm sure they have a warranty on it.
They do have a good
Stuff
warranty, and L2 Lighting is actually who worked with us. They're a local company here that does lighting, so they're actually providing all of the equipment to Modesto Executive. Modesto Executive is just the contractor.
And Christopher, I can tell you, being on numerous football, baseball, outdoor fields over the past several years doing photography, is most of the fields are going to LED panels, and the lighting is so different.
How many poles do we have this park?
22.
22? Okay, so if one goes bad, they're not gonna be blanketed in
No,
darkness?
no, not at all.
Okay, great, thank
I
you.
think you made your money back on the bond costs with the amount of
With
questions.
all of the $20
The
questions,
$20
man.
questions.
Pay up, Mayor.
I was just, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, anyone from the public have a comment for our city staff? All right, seeing none, this is an action item.
Thank you, by the way, for hunting this down and doing this project, and motion to approve 11.2.
I second that motion.
First and a second, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith?
I said 11.2.
Yeah, it's
and
11.1.
We're 11.1.
Thank you.
So motion to approve 11.1.
Councilmember Gilbert?
I motion to approve 11.1.
We've been off too long.
Councilmember Patassi?
Yes.
Councilmember Kettering?
Yes.
And Mayor Barry?
Yes, this item passes 5-0. Thank you very
The
much.
community will appreciate this very much.
All right, 11.2. Jerry,
I was just notified by the computer that the battery's running low, so if I lose,
Does that cord on the ground have anything to do with it?
thank you, Albert. The light stopped blinking at me.
Now the TVs are
Oh.
off.
A minute too soon.
What'd you do?
You want to use mine?
No, my PowerPoint's on here.
You want to use mine?
My PowerPoint's on this one, not on yours. We're going to take an intermission.
Yeah.
A few more questions about the light poles.
Yeah.
I agree, it's good for every neighborhood. It's people parking their RVs on the street for 3 days.
Okay, welcome back.
All right, we're back.
All right, before you is consideration of a resolution approving an agreement with Bell Burnett and Associates for an electric utility feasibility study for a total of $75,000 to be funded with General Fund, General Government Contract Services Fund. Just a recap of the background, current situation in Oakdale. Oakdale is served by 2 electric utility companies, which is Modesto Irrigation District and Pacific Gas and Electric. The dual provider model causes rate disparities for both residential and commercial properties between the cost difference between Modesto Irrigation District and Pacific Gas and Electric. Citywide impact, city household savings, estimated about 7,000 PG&E homes would be about $21.5 million if we were successful at taking all utility powers over to MID. Last city council meeting, I did an estimate based on 850 kilowatt hours, and it was alluded to that my numbers were skewed. So instead of using my estimates this time, there was a news article done by KOVR 13, and they did their own estimates, and so I pulled off of their news article that over 10 years, PG&E rates have gone up 104%, and from January 2022 to April 2025, it's been 43%. I just want to make sure that
That's weird.
everything, I feel like I was correct in saying that the Oakdale community would save a substantial amount of money. So there's an opportunity if we go with MID to lower rates. It's a locally governed and publicly owned utility, so we have a potential for cost savings. At the City Council meeting May 5th, 2025, staff was given direction to contact consultants. Staff contact professionals in the industry to get recommendations for consulting firms, and then staff had telephone and internet meetings with Bell Burnett and Associates. They were highly recommended for the purposes of the study due to their high-level understanding and abilities. I think that was somebody's phone in the audience. So funding for the study will be allocated in the next year budget for $75,000. It will come out of the contract services. And then again, just a reminder that MID will require a system impact study and a facility study that they approximate at about $50,000, which we do not need to, we don't need to conduct those studies right now. And we'll leave it up to the consultants in MID if we get that far, if we actually spend the money for those services. So staff recommends that the City Council approve the proposal from Bell Burnett and Associates in the amount of $75,000 and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement. And with that, I'll take questions.
I'll just give some feedback that I have.
Sure.
So I spoke with Steve Medlin, and he said about 20 years ago, him, Robert Gilbert, Vint Zamoroni analyzed it, and it was going to use the railroad track for easement. Obstacle was under the tracks at 120 and 108 by the Cowboy Museum. Mike Zufelt and was the MID engineer. It's one part. I did speak with a few reps from MID. One story one of the guys had was, just to give you an estimate of time, there's a property in Escalon. It's an easy part. It was a pump, and it was on 40 acres, and across the street the facilities were already there, and it took over 18 months to get that approved. Just different highlights. I love that you're looking into this. I think it's great. But people are thinking right now it's going to change their bill automatically $300 a month, and that is not a true statement. And I just want to make sure that people at home know that this could take, I mean, the challenges are the right-of-way, PG&E, help us process, put customer throughout a lot of challenges. It could take 10 to 12 years to get a right-of-way. Challenge PG&E, the load would change to customers. It would depart from the system. The formula is complicated. The easement, the right-of-way, encroachment permits, cost of MID expanding lines to each home, setting underground conduit power lines, the power quality. MID now in Oakdale serviced by a substation at the old Hershey building, if you can believe that, at the old Hershey building. And if a car hits a power pole over there, all those MID customers in the Bridal Ridge, Vineyard area, everybody goes out because they only have that one substation. So they would have to build a new substation. Other than that, it wouldn't be backed up. It's kind of like, I know this is a much bigger scale, but you have AT&T and Verizon. They might run specials sometimes and say, hey, switch over to this. But then if you switch over from one to the other one's going to sucker you for a bunch of money. So that is still what you're going through for the feasibility study. This is just dipping their toe in the sand, right? Dipping their toe in the sand, $75,000 at least, at the minimum, right?
Yes.
And then it could be tens of millions cost, but that could be another 15 to 20 years for our current ratepayers to notice that, correct? It's not gonna be an automatic next month, everybody's gonna see $300 savings. I just wanna be very clear, because I've read so many things on social media, and I know people get excited about it, everybody gets excited for saving money, but I wanna be very clear that that's nothing that's happening overnight.
Let me just reiterate what you're saying. This is a monumental task.
Okay.
This is, they say that anything's possible, but you have to have the right amount of money to do it, right?
Yeah,
This is just to see if it's actually possible
Okay.
with the limited amount of money that we have. What I'm trying to do is tell anybody that has their hopes up that we're moving over to MID, you better lower your expectations.
okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So 75,000 right now, feasibility study. MID could come in and say, hey, there's gonna be another 50,000 for us to go to the next step, correct? Right now would just be the approval of 75,000, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is going to be a broad overview of if this is possible, both logistically and financially, because within Bell Burnett, one of their administrators is from the finance industry. And so he'll look at it from the finance standpoint and report back what he estimates the costs would be to the city or to MID to actually do the transition.
And then you're gonna come back to us and say, hey, this is feasible, here's what it's gonna cost, and now we can go to the next step. But still,
Or-
PG&E will step into that and say, hey, if you try to do this, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z, correct?
That's correct. And another option that you didn't mention is the consultants could come back and say, it's not feasible.
Okay.
So that's a possibility.
So no matter what, 75 grand out of our account to see if it's even possible.
Yes, but I put that the city staff recommends because of what we did see. I mean, people actually got their hopes up when we brought this to council. So I think our constituents, in my opinion, would like to see us spend the money to see if it is possible. If it's not, I still think it's money well spent.
Yeah, thank you for that. Anyone else?
I agree with you, Mayor. There's a lot of good points. I got inundated with text messages, phone calls, messages from people pleading for this to happen. A huge amount of elderly folks, single income families, people, it's a health issue. And, you know, the lady is in her 80s or 70s, and she's in the middle of chemotherapy, and they can't keep their house lower than 78 degrees. Their quality of life's miserable, and they're on a payment plan. I think hope's a good thing, because I hope that this is a feasible thing in the long run for the health of the residents of our town. I know it's not going to be an easy thing, but hopefully we get them back with good news, and there will be hurdles, but it doesn't mean that, it's impossible. Hopefully it is possible. And I'm not trying to give anybody false hope. There's obviously a lot of things that has to happen first. But I think moving forward, I would like to ask that, there's some development coming into town and there's homes coming in. I say that we try and mandate that all these new builds from here on forward go MID. And I don't know what that looks like, but we did it for not Birchall Hill?
Bridal Ridge.
Vineyards and Bridal Ridge.
Vineyards and Bridal Ridge. So we did it for those. I think it would just keep pushing that in the right direction if we said, hey, you know what? All these new builds, all this new construction, we need to, keep going forward towards MID.
So let me just interrupt you. I don't mean to interrupt you and be
No, you're fine.
disrespectful, but just to reiterate that is I spoke to Mr. Bell from Bell Burnett and Associates and some other industry leaders in actual management of utilities. And Mr. Bell seemed to think that that's probably where the most traction we could get started with. That would probably be the simplest way forward for anybody coming into Oakdale.
construction is what?
Is what Councilmember Patassi said, to make the new developments be serviced with power by MID. He thinks that that's a possibility.
Are you done? Yeah.
Anyone else?
I said a month ago, I sat in this chair and I said, don't get your hopes up, because of that list of little things. I'd love to see us, because, we sit in this room and we're asked to spend money for Oakdale general. It's a general thing that's gonna make everybody's life better. This is a specific thing that's gonna make people's lives better. So if there's anything that we need to spend money on, it's for specific things that make people's lives better. I do wanna say $75,000 for Burnett and Company. Have we actually talked to MID? Have they said, yes, we can do this, and yes, we want to do this? Because if that's the first phone call that Burnett makes and they say, no, we can't do it, then $75,000, I'll do it for $7. I'll make that phone call for $7. Because
The
if that's what,
challenges that I read,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of detail, there's still challenges. So
Right.
I want to say.
but
that-
has MID said, yeah, we can cover you?
Specifically, no. And that's why the system impact study and the facility study need to be done so that they can. I can't tell you, I've had several conversations with MID. And in fact, while I was away this week, I actually took a call from MID, and they specifically asked, are you taking the feasibility study to the city council on Monday night? And I think that if they didn't feel like they could do it, they would have taken that opportunity. But he said, okay, that's great news. I'll let my bosses know.
So they're interested in their
He's watching from home right now.
I'm not going to say that they're interested,
Gotcha.
because I don't want to put words in their mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can say, from my perception, they don't seem disinterested.
Okay.
I think if it was impossible, they would tell us it was impossible.
Okay. So, living on the Bridal Ridge / Birchall Hill, Bridal Ridge
Vineyard.
/ Vineyard side of town, I think the fairest thing to do is to expand into my neighborhood first, just as a test.
Birchall Hill, please, Birchall Hill.
No, this is, I'm gonna go back to my first statement. This is one of those things where we spend money to make people's lives, the important part of their lives, better. I can't afford groceries because I had to pay my PG&E bill, which was 7 times higher than it was 6 years ago. I can't afford to, turn the air conditioner on, but my mom is, down the hall sweating. I can't afford insurance on my car because I had to pay my PG&E bill, and it was $1,000 more than it was last month. So this is the thing, in my opinion, that we need to spend the city money on. Even if they do come back and say, yeah, MID doesn't like you and they don't want to do it, but it's something that we need to find out.
It's worth it.
Everything Christopher just said are things that my actual neighbors are experiencing. Today's a very hot day, and I can tell you that a lot of my neighbors in my apartment complexes cannot afford to turn on their AC units. So if this is something that we could do to better just the Oakdale residents and make it so that they can put $10 extra in their tank that day, then I am all for this.
Thank you.
I can only echo the sentiments that have made. I think it's, if it can be done, my biggest concern is seeing things through social media, seeing news outlets that are coming out here. It's presenting false hopes to individuals. After the last council meeting, over the last couple of weeks, I did a lot of research. I've yet to find a jurisdiction in this Pacific Northwest where PG&E services that they've given up any jurisdiction to a local electric company. It's never happened before that I could find. I'm told we're in a different situation because of some things that have been laid, the groundwork. But again, if we can do this, I think, it's monumental for the city of Oakdale. But again, it's never been done before. And I think that's something that, looking at this feasibility study, they'll be able to tell us. And it's something that I think if we can cross that bridge, then we got to decide what's next.
I'd like to remind you that PG&E said they'd give us a 5-cent discount.
And whether or not, maybe this leads to negotiations with PG&E. Who knows too? Going down all possibility, the avenues of all possibilities, I think should be on the table. And
I don't think you will find a single jurisdiction in this state where PG&E has lowered their rates.
but we're not the only ones coming after them. So that's the thing. Like we're not the only ones. They're not. This isn't their first rodeo of people coming after them trying to leave their services. So, I mean, we're not alone. There's lots of other cities, lots of other places that are trying to get out from underneath this terrible boot that's crushing them. So I think, yeah. And then how do we add, is it a possibility to add that we mandate all new bills?
That'd be
to be a
separate
Yeah, we need to come back to that.
council item.
come back to that?
I think that's what the feasibility study, so they're not just going to look at transitioning. They're going to look at all strategies of getting away from or getting around PG&E. And that's going to be one of them, is that can the new annexed areas or the new areas that are being built, can they transition over to MID before the infrastructure is built? So that's all MID structure, and we don't have to fight later when PG&E rates go up higher. That's that's less of a fight that we've already taken care of.
One last thing, when you were talking about power outages, if someone were to hit a pole, I've been in my house almost 6 years now. I've only had power go out one time in the middle of later in the afternoon when we were home. And the 2 times at night when we were asleep and didn't even notice it.
And to be clear, you're MID.
MID, I'm on MID. But we get regular reminders that PG&E's going out, and they have a huge system. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay, any questions from the public? Good evening. How are you? Good.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Erica Cabrera. I'm the Local Government Affairs Manager with PG&E for the Central Valley. And I'm here today to speak with you on item 11.2. And as you recall, last month we had representative make comments as well. And so I just wanted to reiterate that we are proud to serve electricity here in Oakdale, and we are working hard to become the electric and gas utility that customers expect us to be. We understand that affordability is top of mind for the city and its residents. This year, our electric rates are down over compared to the years 2024, and our projections show lower rates again in 2026, and our goal of moving forward to have rates track to normal inflation rates. We are actively working to cut costs even further by reducing our own operating and capital costs, as well as our infrastructure financing costs. And since the item became public last month, we have worked to set up individual meetings with members of the council. And some of the items that we wanted to discuss are the complexities and high cost of takeovers, including eminent domain trials that can lead to decades to resolve, the difference in rate structures and costs between regulated utilities like PG&E and public utilities like MID, the effort that PG&E is undertaking to reduce the amount of charges on your PG&E bill that are derivative from state mandates and prevent cost shifts that affect PG&E customers. Also, share publicly available studies that have gone into depth on the material challenges and significant costs associated with switching to a public power and reflecting on the experiences of other communities in California and across the U.S. Our hope is that we could have those meetings, which are scheduled for tomorrow, before you decide to proceed with this expenditure. As every state and the city deals with budget challenges, it is worth noting that this is a large expenditure and would seem beneficial to take in all relevant information before taking action. We would encourage you to delay your decision on moving forward until we're able to meet to share information and answer questions that you may have. Any information or any form of municipalization is huge and a long-term undertaking, and we recommend briefly delaying a decision to more fully analyze the expenditure cost. We are committed to providing safe, clean, reliable, and affordable energies to customers in Oakdale, and we understand that the focus is on affordability. Exploring a public takeover that isn't viable and would create additional risk and cost would not be beneficial to residents here in Oakdale. So we thank you for your time, and we're looking forward to meetings that are scheduled tomorrow.
Thank you. Thanks for being here tonight.
A quick question for you.
Yes.
You said there's been a reduction in rates from last year. What was that rate? What was
So-
that reduction?
So the reduction that we did see last summer, we did see a 9% cost savings. I know that because it was, hot in the summer, that some customers may not have noticed that, but there was a cost savings of 9% that did take place last summer. So tomorrow in the meetings that we have, we will have more information that my senior director will be able to share with you regarding rates and other information as it relates to studies related to municipalization.
So it was a 9% last summer
Mm-hmm.
compared to what? The summer prior? Compared to what? What was that 9%?
Correct.
Compared to the year before at the same
Compared to the year
period of
before.
time?
So as you know, our rate structure, we go through a GRC, and we file for every 4 years. And within that, we have a rate setting that will have different benchmarks. So there may be items of a rate increase, I'm just giving examples right now, of possibly say 10%, and then items that fall off the bill regarded the, say, wildfire or storm impacts that were not budgeted, that there may be a cost recovery with that. And then when that comes off the bill, it comes off within that same rate structure. So it's kind of a constant, raise and decrease there. So that is why I'm giving the example of the 9% that came off the bill last summer.
So compared to last summer then, what is this summer's rate? Is there a decrease this summer from last summer, or is it going to go back up 9%?
So there are small changes that have come in, and I apologize, I don't have my rate information here that I could have given you the table. So there are there was a small increase, there's a small decrease, and then we're again projecting to remain flat to where we were at, and then there is a small decrease again scheduled for 2026.
Okay, and that
Are you going to
9%.
have all these answers for us tomorrow?
Yes.
That 9% reduction from last year, was that a reduction in electricity rates, or was it because some of those fees had fallen off the
Some of the
bill?
fees had fallen off.
Okay, so it wasn't a reduction in the electricity rate. It was because the consumers
Well,
were no longer...
those are accessed to electricity charges, correct?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else for public comment? Public comment is now closed. This is an agenda item.
It doesn't really matter when the rates are so high, the spike increase and then the drop. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I'm good.
I hear this and I don't.
We all have meetings tomorrow.
I know.
Do we want to consider tabling this for 2 weeks? Until we go through these meetings?
Unless they want to drop the rates to what's competitive in the area. I mean, they're empty promises of lowering rates when they're already exponentially higher.
Is there a
it's not
reason
gonna-
why the meeting with PG&E was scheduled for the day after our city council meeting and not
I-
last week?
Because that's the date that Eric Alvarez requested.
Yeah, and
Okay,
I was on
so
vacation,
PG&E
so.
requested to meet with us the day after our council meeting for the feasibility study, but is now asking us to hold off on our meeting. Is that correct?
Well, let's address the questions to me because it's been closed. It's not necessarily PG&E's fault. Eric Alvarez requested June 3rd. I did not expect the feasibility study to come in actually as soon as it did. I actually expected the consulting firms to take a little bit longer, but Burnett and Associates was on it, so they got it to me. I wanted to bring it to City Council so that you could say yes, move forward, or don't move forward. Staff recommends that we move forward on this. I'm going to be in all three meetings. And Tom, you can weigh in on this, but if I see that there's something that actually changes, if I see some questions or some indication that the rates would be lower or it would kind of sway anybody's decision, I could ask Bell Burnett and Associates to hold off. I could personally do that, not enter into the agreement until I feel comfortable with it, or we could bring it back to council the next day.
So what I hear is they're gonna meet with us tomorrow, which we already know that. This nice lady came up here and spoke to us about that. They're gonna say, what I believe is, hey, if you do this, it's gonna cost you this much money and this much money and this much money. You're gonna do your job. I mean, that's what's gonna happen. I don't believe they're gonna come and say, hey, we're gonna lower your rates automatically because you would have already done that after the last meeting. So I just think we have to decide if we're gonna go through with the feasibility study, no matter what it is, period. And if not, then we wait till after we meet with them tomorrow. That's what we have to decide.
I
Quick-
motion to approve. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Just a clarification. Is that cool, what he said, that he can pull the plug on this if necessary?
That's correct.
Okay. Sorry.
I motion to approve 11.2.
I'll second.
First and a second, roll call, please.
Councilmember Gilbert?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Patassi?
Yes, because
Council-
either way, we're going to need to know the answers to the study or get the information from the study.
Councilmember Kettering?
Yes, and just I didn't say that. I think the biggest thing is I don't know if there's anything that I could hear tomorrow short of everybody hearing the same thing and the city manager understanding it that would change my mind about wanting to go forward with the feasibility study. So yes.
Yes.
And Mayor Barry?
This item passes 5-0. Thank you for being here tonight. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. All right, item 12.1.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Jerry.
It's hard to break the habit, right?
Yeah, it is. Verbal report on diagonal parking.
Well, I was going to bring two items, and then I added an additional item. So I just wanted to bring some attention to some issues we were having in the city of Oakdale. So we were getting complaints about the hazardous conditions being created on D Street between 3rd and Yosemite. I wanted to give a verbal report on the mobile app for reserving pickleball courts that nobody was aware of, and I'll explain that here in a moment. And then Unwired, a fiber optics internet service provider who contacted us recently and wants to provide internet services here in the city of Oakdale.
To the whole city?
Yes,
Don't we use IERA?
we do. They're actually wireless. Unwired wants to come in and do a fiber optics upgrade for the city of Oakdale. So let me start with the diagonal parking on D Street. I actually had some questions about this, and hey, why would we do a diagonal here, and is it actually safe? And based on
Before you continue, that's right out here.
yes.
Right out.
So we recognized that it was that the parking was creating a hazardous condition, but the the employees there at the Gilbert Company needed a place to park, so they kind of came up with their own design and started parking diagonally. So I spoke with Mr. Gilbert and asked him if he would mind if we striped that to make it more structured for his employees. I was going to give a verbal report on it, but Mr. Gravel's crew was on top of it. I asked him about it, if it could actually be geometrically possible to do it. And they said, yes, it's possible, and they went out and got it done. So the top right is how it used to look, and then bottom left is what they turned it into. You can disregard the illegally parked white van there. They're parking old style.
So the width of that chunk of street is the same width as it is out here?
Yes.
Why don't we continue the diagonal parking? Do we net more parking spaces with the diagonal parking?
Essentially, the way geometry works, it would be yes. And I think we should look at that.
Okay.
If you look at Third Avenue, which I don't have a picture of here, Third Avenue is diagonal on both sides. I just don't know if the width of Third Avenue and the width of D Street is the same. I think that D Street is a little bit narrow, but what Mr. Gravel's crew did is to do diagonal parking on one side. They moved the yellow delineating line to the south to make that lane actually wider, and then parked to the parallel, and then painted the parallel parking on the south side.
Well, I think that's great, but I think we should take a look at the next block to continue it, because it's the same width of street and net maybe 3 or 4 more spaces.
Okay, we can do that, absolutely.
Thanks.
All right. Next item?
Let me go back to what it was. So staff was looking at a better way of managing our pickleball courts, because there's a high demand for the pickleball courts. And we thought that it was a very inefficient way to hand out keys at public services. And so the thought is, if you can use your phone to open a hotel door, how come we can't put the same technology on our pickleball courts? So we're actually looking at that. So we're looking at doing a mobile app where you can show up to the pickleball courts. You can use your phone with the RF radio frequency to unlock it. That way we know who's going in, who's going out. Relieves the burden on city staff, so they're not having to make keys. We don't have that cost. So we are looking at that. I didn't want you to be surprised when it comes up. I did have some concerns about reservation of the pickleball courts. I probably reworded this wrong when I asked for it to be put in the agenda. It's basically just a better way to access our pickleball courts is what we're looking for, and a way to track who's going and who's using them.
So
For
you
all the
can open.
courts? Sorry.
You can use your open your hotel room with your cell phone.
Yes.
Boy,
Fancy.
man.
And I'll be the one to say that I'm the one that showed the concern for the reservation system, and I'm probably the only one up here who has played on those courts at least twice a week for the last 2 months. I've been playing in Modesto, I've been playing in Riverbank, I've been playing Interlock for the past 8 years. Reservation systems become incredibly problematic, because what happens is you have individuals that wherever you set that time frame, a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance, a month in advance, they reserve as many courses as they can, whether they're going to be there or not. And the number of youth that we have that are enjoying those courts between 7:30 and 9:30, 10, sometimes a little later, is huge, and I think it's going to eliminate that, because you're going to have people that are reserving courts, you're going to have people that are going to be down there, and if we create a reservation system, I think we're benefiting a very small population here in Oakdale, and we're not benefiting the entire community.
Agreed, but this isn't about a reservation system tonight. This is about the access system. And I would really like to see if we can limit the reservation system to maybe 40% of the time and leave the courts open for walk-ins, because I know a lot of people don't have the time or patience to make a reservation 6 days in advance and say, I'm going to be playing.
There's so many different systems that are out there. I've played all over the state for the past 8 years. And there's lots of different systems and a lot of different organizations that you go to. No matter what you do, there's going to be a group that's going to complain. It's the same thing for the 15 years that I played racquetball, reserving courts and that kind of stuff. You're going to have a group, and my vantage point of looking at it is, how do we benefit the most people within here in the city of Oakdale? And I think the reservation would benefit me. I know I play on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings and sometimes on Friday mornings. So it'll benefit me. But I think it's going to benefit a very small group where having open courts. There is a national, I don't know what the word is, common sense or courtesy of putting your paddles, and there is a paddle rack out on those courts. And what the common etiquette is when your paddles are up there, you're next up on the court.
After a period of time?
After a game.
After the game?
After a game, correct.
Like quarters on an arcade.
Correct, exactly, or on a pool table and that kind of stuff. So I've seen reservations in place.
On a pool table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
I've seen reservations in place more for racquetball than I have for pickleball, and it's been nothing but problematic, and it keeps your not computer sophisticated, and I'm assuming people under the age of 18 won't be able to reserve courts, which makes sense. So it's going to keep the group that I see down there a lot. I will tell you, I love seeing 35 to 40 high school and junior high kids there on Fridays and Saturday nights because they're not out doing stupid stuff like we all did at that
Yeah,
age.
and you know what? How many years have we heard, oh, there's nothing for the kids to do, there's nothing for the kids to do, and now there's something for the kids to do.
We've heard it for a lot of years. I don't know how many, but it's been a lot of years.
It's been too many.
Will this spill over into the soccer fields? I've had a lot of phone calls of people wondering when they can use the field too.
So the soccer fields aren't open right now. The project isn't complete. And
Gotcha.
we haven't finalized a way to reserve those fields yet.
Got it.
All right, next.
And then the third item I think this one will probably be coming to you next, at the next city council meeting, is Unwired. It's a fiber optics internet service provider. They showed me their rates at extremely high rates. The speed was fantastic. But they want to come into the city of Oakdale, install their infrastructure, provide fiber optic internet service at their own cost, no cost to the city. They pull their permits. They just want city council approval to come in and do it. They work with the railroad companies, Caltrans, to get all the easements and get all the fiber optics and infrastructure installed on their own dime. So it's no cost to the city. So that will be coming to you, hopefully at the next city council meeting.
So this would be another option for
This
Wi-Fi and-
would be another option in competition with the larger internet service providers.
Good, thank you.
All right, anything else from council? Anybody have anything? I'd just like to read a letter. I had the corporate from the Great 48, also known as Save Mart, reach out to me, and they have a shop and talk at the Great 48, which is their store number. It's an informal in-store conversation with local leaders and company leadership to hear directly what the community has challenges, prices, and what people need most. It's about listening, connecting, and showing up as a true neighbor. So they want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. My number is 209-496-1134, 209-496-1134. So what's on your mind, what's your struggles up against, and what support do you want to see from our local businesses, specifically through the Great 48, Save Mart. So 496-1134. So please reach out to me. Another thing, I want to wish everyone all the gentlemen a happy Father's Day, and we will see you Monday, June 16th.
And happy Pride Month, everybody.
Meeting adjourned.
That was a good